Have you ever had a stew that was so tender the beef just melted in your mouth? You might think ribeye is just for grilling, but I'm about to show you how slow cooking unlocks a flavor you never knew it had. Hello, food lovers, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today, we're diving into the ultimate comfort food, a rich, hearty beef ribeye and vegetable stew. This isn't just any stew. This is the kind of meal that warms you up from the inside out. Perfect for a cozy evening, a family dinner, or whenever you just need a big, delicious hug in a bowl. It's packed with incredible flavor, tender beef, and wholesome vegetables. Forget everything you thought you knew about stews because this recipe is a total game changer. We're going to transform a beautiful cut of beef into a culinary masterpiece that will have everyone asking for seconds. So, if you're ready to create a truly unforgettable dish, stick around because this is one recipe you'll want to make again and again. Now let's get real for a moment. Making a great stew can be tricky, right? So many of us have been there. You spend hours simmering away, only to end up with beef that's tough and chewy instead of fall apart tender. Or maybe the flavor just falls flat. You've got all these amazing ingredients, but the broth tastes watery, lacking that deep, rich, savory character you were dreaming of. It's a common frustration. Another challenge is getting the vegetables just right. Sometimes they turn to complete mush, losing all their texture, or they end up undercooked and crunchy. It's a delicate balance. The goal is to have perfectly cooked, tender vegetables that still hold their shape and add their own unique flavor to the pot. It's also about building layers of flavor. Just throwing everything into a pot and hoping for the best rarely works. The magic is all in the technique. Getting that meat seared just right and creating a tasty broth base. Nail those, and you'll turn potential kitchen fails into cozy comfort food. But don't worry, because today we are going to tackle every single one of these challenges head on. I'm going to share all my secrets to ensure your stew is a resounding success every single time. We'll conquer tough meat and bland broth for good. Alright, let's talk ingredients. The star of our show is, of course, a beautiful, well-marbled beef rib eye, about 2 pounds, cut into generous 1.5-inch cubes. The marbling is key here. That fat will render down and make the beef incredibly succulent. For our vegetables, we have a classic Mirepoix, 2 large carrots, 2 celery stalks, and 1 large yellow onion, all diced. We'll also use about 1 pound of small new potatoes, halved, and 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms, quartered. For our flavor base, you'll need 4 cloves of garlic, minced, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 4 cups of good quality beef broth, 1 cup of a dry red wine like a Cabernet Sauvignon, a couple of bay leaves, and a teaspoon of dried thyme. And of course, salt, freshly ground black pepper, and some olive oil for searing. First things first, preparation is everything. Pat your beef cubes completely dry with a paper towel. This is crucial for getting a perfect sear. Then, season them generously on all sides with salt and pepper. Now, heat a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in a large Dutch oven or heavy-bottom pot over medium-high heat. Once it's shimmering, add the beef in a single layer, making sure not to overcrowd the pot. Work in batches if you have to. We want to sear the beef, not steam it. Brown it deeply on all sides. This step, called the Maillard reaction, is where so much of the flavor is born. Once all the beef is browned, remove it from the pot and set it aside. Lower the heat to medium and add your diced onion, carrots, and celery to the same pot. Saute them for about 5 to 7 minutes until they've softened and the onion is translucent, scraping up all those delicious browned bits from the bottom of the pot with your wooden spoon. This is called deglazing, and it's pure flavor gold. Next, add the minced garlic and cook for another minute until fragrant. Then, stir in the tomato paste and cook it for about a minute to deepen its flavor. Sprinkle the flour over the vegetables and stir continuously for about 1 minute. This will help thicken our stew later on. Now it's time for the wine. Pour in the red wine and bring it to a simmer, continuing to scrape the bottom of the pot. Let it cook for a couple of minutes until it has reduced by about half. This cooks off the alcohol and intensifies the flavor. Finally, pour in the beef broth. Add the bay leaves and thyme, and give everything a good stir. Return the seared beef and any accumulated juices back to the pot. Bring the stew to a gentle simmer, then reduce the heat to low, cover the pot, and let it cook for about 2 hours. The key here is low and slow. This gentle cooking process is what breaks down the connective tissues in the beef, making it unbelievably tender. After 2 hours, stir in the potatoes and mushrooms. Put the lid back on and continue to simmer for another 45 minutes to an hour. Or until the potatoes are fork tender and the beef is practically falling apart. And now for the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's lift the lid. Oh, just look at that. The aroma filling the kitchen is absolutely incredible. Deep, savory, and so inviting. You can see how the broth has thickened into a luscious, glossy gravy, coating every single piece of meat and vegetable. The beef is so tender you could cut it with a spoon. See how it just falls apart? The vegetables have absorbed all that wonderful flavor, yet they still have a perfect, tender bite. The color is magnificent, a deep, rich brown from the seared beef and the red wine. This is the definition of comfort in a pot. Before serving, I like to skim any excess fat from the surface and remove the bay leaves. You can garnish it with some fresh chopped parsley for a bit of brightness and color. I love serving this stew in a big rustic bowl, maybe with a side of crusty bread to soak up every last drop of that amazing gravy. This isn't just a meal, it's an experience. It's the result of patience, technique, and quality ingredients all coming together in perfect harmony. It's rich, it's satisfying, and it's pure, unadulterated comfort food at its absolute finest. I can't wait for you to taste this. So let's quickly recap what we did to create this masterpiece. We started by searing our beautiful ribeye cubes to build a deep, flavorful foundation. Then, we sautéed our classic Mirepoix in the same pot, soaking up all those tasty brown bits. We deepened the flavor with tomato paste and red wine, thickened our broth with a little flour, and then let it all simmer low and slow. That slow cooking process is the secret to getting that incredibly tender, melt-in-your-mouth beef. We added our potatoes and mushrooms towards the end to make sure they cooked perfectly without turning to mush. By following these key steps, you're guaranteed to get a rich, flavorful, and perfectly textured stew every single time. It's a simple process that yields truly spectacular, 5-star results, right in your own kitchen. What's your favorite secret ingredient or variation for a beef stew? I'd love to read your ideas, so please drop a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this recipe, be sure to watch my video on making the perfect creamy mashed potatoes to go with it. Check out the ingredients and instructions in my posts on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.